Hello class, so here are all the sine, cosine, and tangent angles you need to know to finish up the worksheet today. 30, 60, and 45 degrees, and also remember SOHCAHTOA to help you organize your thoughts when you're working with triangles. Alright, so if necessary, pause the video, copy these down, and then move on to the next part of this worksheet. Now behind this is an example problem I'm going to do. So here is a 30, 60, 90 triangle. Now I need to make a decision of which angle I'm going to use. So I'm going to decide to use the 30-degree angle here. So I'm going to highlight it just so I remember I'm always using that angle. And currently I will be ignoring the 60 degrees throughout this process. So I'm going to call this side X, and I'll call this side Y. And I'm going to begin labeling what do I have. So 6 is the longest side of this triangle, and it's opposite from the hypotenuse, from the right angle, so it's the hypotenuse. Compared to 30 degrees, X is right across, which makes it the opposite, and that leaves Y as the adjacent. So I'm just labeling what I have right now in order to not get mixed up later on. Compared to 30 degrees, 6 is the hypotenuse, X is opposite, and Y is adjacent. Now that I have all that, I'm going to refer back to SOHCAHTOA. Okay, SOHCAHTOA. The only piece of information I really have is a hypotenuse, so I'm going to look at which one of these trig identities uses a hypotenuse. I see that sine and cosine uses it, so I'm going to use those trig functions to help me solve for this. Let's start with sine. Sine, so, is the same thing as opposite or hypotenuse. So when I set this up is sine of 30 degrees, because I'm working with the 30 degrees, equals opposite, which is X, over the hypotenuse 6. That's my setup there. Sine of 30 degrees equals X over 6. Go back to the values. Sine of 30 degrees is 1/2. So instead of using sine of 30, I'm going to say 1/2 equals X over 6. Afterwards, I'm going to cross multiply. Okay, and I get that 2x is equal to 6. Next, I divide by 2. And I get that x is equal to 3. This side here is 3. Alright, now let's solve for y. Now, since I use now I'm going to use ka, which is cosine. Cosine of 30 degrees, because that's again what I'm using, 30 degrees, is equal to, well, adjacent, y over the hypotenuse, 6. Alright, cosine of 30 degrees equals y over 6. Again, going back to my identities here, cosine of 30 is square root of 3 over 2. So square root of 3 over 2 equals y over 6. Then you cross multiply. Okay, and you get that 2y equals 6 times square root of 3. Divide by 2, and you get that y is equal to 6 divided by 2 is 3. 3 square root of 3. So this is 3 square root of 3. That's how I found the missing sides. SOHCAHTOA. I didn't need to use TOA because I didn't have opposite or adjacent sides to begin with.